his name. That'd be funny. These guys got a piece of paper.
One person you don't need his name.
He's got a piece of paper.
It's like his wife and grandkids.
Yeah, I think so.
You got a picture probably somewhere. Maybe. He's not in the bad shape. '76. So,
You know they're not coming.
Oh, that's a great one. How did you get that? You're right about this coming early for the scene. JD now. 4:30. Send it to him.
Peter Frampton.
All right. Yeah. There's another obvious one coming. Somebody will say it. Wait. No, I don't feel like you do.
Peter, how did you and Rob work together imagining the film, like from the beginning?
Well,
Backstory.
we really just, it was before the film, really. I mean, we were doing, every time, the social network, you had to, all right, we've got to tell everybody what we're doing, we've got to film it, everybody. So, and every time I would do it, I'd get another film crew come in, I go, I don't know this guy. He's not very nice. And and then one day I said to Rob, I said, Rob, I've got a Nikon that films, can't we do it? And then he came in, and at the end we did a whole slew of social network messages and stuff. And I said, that's it, we're like this. So then, I think it was around the finale tour, right? When Ken Levitan had suggested, well, I think it's time you should do a documentary. And so I said, well, we just started a small film company.
It started as a joke, remember? Like we would just be laughing in his bedroom, making these social media posts and promo stuff. He goes, "We should start a film company. This is so fun." And here we are.
So we started off with Phoenix Films, but some company in Canada has the same name. So it's got to be an F, I think. Phoenix Features. That's like optimistic. And that's how it started. And we started filming around, I think, Madison Square Garden, was it? Or had you been filming before that?
I mean, you're just talking about the live shows, but
right.
There was like that scene on the bus where your foot was all swollen.
Right.
That was like a year before that tour.
Wow.
Even, because now I'd gotten a few better cameras than the first night.
Oh yeah, we upgraded.
Right, and but then I was kind of testing it out on, backstage on the bus, and that one day you had broken your foot, and
yeah.
I'm just filming it. I remember at the end of that clip you said, "Oh my God, I haven't combed my hair yet." Look, that was
And Rob, originally the idea was to follow the tour, right? And so suddenly, things change. How did you reimagine the film on the fly like that?
Well, it was like Peter said, when Ken said, let's do a career retrospective, then more of the backstage stuff started to make sense. And we did more of just him and I talking with a camera on. And, so Ken basically started that. In the film, it appears that it just evolved, but we had to start this film somehow. So
right.
We say that, but this was the plan, was to tell the story. However, when telling the story, I learned so many more things about you that, because you wanted to be transparent with the whole thing and tell the truth here.
Sorry to
No,
interrupt, but I just felt that when we decided, Ken suggested, and we decided, okay, the documentary, I wanted it to be good, the bad, and the ugly, but I wanted to feel safe, and we had been working with this little film company doing all our stuff, and we did videos for the instrumental record. We did before that, the other blues or whatever. And I just said, Ken said, who do you want to direct it? And I said, Rob. And I said, he's the perfect person because not only is he a terrific, he's my band leader, phenomenal musician, but he's an artist. He's a painter, and he's learned how to be a cinematographer over the last few years, and he's really gone deep into it. And I said, I feel safe with Rob, and that's why I asked you to do it.
And thank you for that. Thank you for that.
So you directed it, and you wrote it, and you composed the music, and you shot a lot of it. That's a lot to juggle. What were your biggest challenges, like learning curve challenges, as you went through this process?
Well, the biggest challenge is weeding out, like, what do we lose? We started out with a 2.5 hour plus film, and I loved it, you know? So when we had to cut, there was so much stuff. That was the biggest problem, was how do we cut this? At one point we were talking about making it a two-part. And I'm glad we ended up kind of all just, I think it's a 100-minute film for a documentary is a lovely number. And I love it now. So that was the hardest thing, was just losing things, you know, because there was a lot there. I mean, it was years. It was more than the 2 years we had funding. There was him and I messing around before that. Peter, it doesn't say in the film, but all that Super 8 footage that you see in the film, he filmed throughout his career, which is beautiful. And that was amazing. That was an amazing gift.
Yeah, when you see me as a kid, I've got a Kodak camera on me, you know, because we didn't own one in those days, but when we went on summer vacation, summer holiday, and my dad would first rent a still camera, and that was one thing. That was the one shot in there. So, and then started renting a single 8, not even a Super 8, and threw it at me. And I said, "Oh, good." So
That's the gadget guy.
Yeah, the gadget guy. Yeah, and so I graduated to a Bollier with sound. You know, so.
And did you have this in like a box in the attic or something? Like, how did you know you had it? What was it like revisiting all this footage?
I was very protective of those films because there was so much, and there's so much more, obviously, but there's a lot of rubbish, but there's also some great stuff, you know. Me and my brother and mum and dad and everything. So it's all there. And then what we did, we digitized nearly all of it, I think.
Yeah, everything
so
had to
that
be
you could
digitized.
choose
We could look at it, yeah.
I left that choosing to Rob of pretty much all that stuff because I knew he had a vision, and I'm the guy that's doing the talking and the playing, and it's my life, and that's why, again, I say why Rob was the perfect person. So.
Well, because the trust is there.
Yeah, and that's one of my personal favorite things is sometimes you see just his and my interaction, and I look at it on a big screen here, and it's a small, intimate moment that just how friends are. Mm-hmm. But here it is big now. It's a really sounds good too. Hey, Stu Polino did our mix.
I know, I had
Killer.
The movie sounds great. Wonderful. Yeah, we spoke before. It's lovely to meet you.
She's the best.
And on a little bit of a serious note, the film doesn't hold back, and you've never shied away from talking about your IBM disease. Can you talk a little bit about the research fund that you're working with Hopkins?
Yes. When we did announced the finale tour, Ken was very involved in helping. What way could we raise money for Johns Hopkins and the myositis research? And so he had got the promoters of, now we're back, it's the finale tour, so we're playing the Forum, we're playing Madison Square Garden, you name it, we're playing it again, and it's so exciting. But each one of the promoters gave, for every ticket, they gave $1, you know, so we're talking a lot of dollars per Madison Square Garden and the Forum, you know. So, and then some days I would turn up, I think it was the Forum. You know when someone wins the pools with they have the huge check like this? Well, the promoters came out with an additional check of like $20,000, you know, and I was holding this huge check. So it was just, I couldn't believe everybody came to the table and overly, were very, very generous.
It's good. That's
How about Pearl Jam?
Oh.
Remember that?
Yeah, I mean, they have been my friends for many years, and two of them I've played on a bunch of my stuff, and we heard that I sat in with them in Nashville on Black, and it was probably one of the most incredible sit-ins I've ever done with, because they're so phenomenal. I love them dearly. And they really put the spotlight on me. It was very nice. And then my doctor, Dr. Lisa Christopher Stein, who's the head of myositis clinic at Johns Hopkins, came to the house to do where you see her saying, if you hadn't exercised. And she said, oh, by the way, Pearl Jam just sent a donation. I said, you're kidding me. And I said, how much? She said, $50,000. I didn't know how to thank them. It was just, I just called them all up and raved at them, you know. I said, you shouldn't have done that.
I think one of the most poignant parts of this film for me, towards the end, is that establishing the relationship with your children.
Yes.
And I know that you have just worked with Julian as producer, writer on your new album,
Yes.
Carry the Light.
Yes.
So, how did watching this film make you feel now?
Well, it's a little sad for me because I wasn't, relationships finished, and I wasn't with their mother anymore, and so I didn't see them as much as I felt I should. So I have guilt about that. But seeing how they responded to my diagnosis and the little things that all of them said is, I realized how hard it was for them to hear that, So it was, the thing is that I'm so lucky that I'm so emotional about the fact that all my children were all in the same, like last Thanksgiving, we're all together. And it's the relationship between all my children has just blossomed, over the last couple of decades. And it means more to me than anything.
Interview subjects in this film, and they all love you. Everybody loves you. And how on earth did you schedule all these? And over what period of time did all these interviews happen?
Well, kind of chunks. There was LA, a bunch of people in LA. There was some in the UK, some in Nashville. Luckily, I didn't actually do the scheduling. If that's the question. I did the research and the questions, but it was.
A lot of people.
I'll tell you one thing. What I will tell you is this: when you ask Ringo to do an interview about Peter Frampton, he's instantly there. So that was pretty cool. Yeah. Same for every single person that we interviewed. The immediate yes, we love this guy. When I started the interview with Cameron Crowe, he's getting his lavalier mic on, and we're just sitting there. We're just gonna check, 1, 2. We both go, we love this guy. We love this guy.
Aww.
And it was the easiest interview ever because we were starting at that point. Yeah, let's just talk about this cool dude. It's gonna be easy.
So I'm going to ask this of both of you. You've worked together for a really long time. The last 3 tours have been Positively Thankful, Let's Do It Again, and Never Say Never. Those titles alone have a sense of optimism and hope to it. the question I'm going to ask both of you is, what do you want the audience to take away from this film?
From the more recent, or from the film?
From the film, yeah.
Oh my goodness. The film, first of all, I never thought that I would be in the position again to play Madison Square Garden, as you see in the film. So it's what I wanted everyone to see was what it took to come back. I think more than anything, not come back, but to through my music alone this time, just go out and play and play and play, and the audience was coming back, put out an album here and there, but then all of a sudden we had the following back, and it was so amazing to me. So I want everyone to see, like I said, the good, the bad, and the ugly, but I want them to see how, don't ever give up. Don't ever give up.
My thing was this. When I had everything I had, I felt like, okay, we can tell a story about how to be a rock star and follow this guy. He knows how to do it. But what I ended up liking the most was we cutting the film down from 2.5 hours to 1.5 hours. We made a rule about saying everything should be about his character. Everything should be about how does a person navigate this. And we also want people who don't know Peter's music to like the film. So therefore, what I hope is that people are just rooting for him, and they see the goodness, they see this work ethic, and they're along for the ride. And the backdrop is rock and roll. The backdrop is music. The backdrop is fame. But here's a very interesting life story that was what I was hoping to do.
Let's talk about Carry the Light for a minute.
Yes.
Because it's your first album in 16 years. I saw some clips where you talked about, that you play at night, and that's like your creative time, and that some of these songs have very personal meanings to you, like Ella Morada.
Yes.
And so, can you talk a little bit about the new album?
Yes. It's something that was the embryos of the songs started, some of them 6 years ago. And, you're either an input or output, as Bob Dylan says. So sometimes you're an input and you're not writing. You don't have a writer's block, but you're taking in. And then you get a splurge of output, and then you start writing. And I would wait for those periods, and you can't, a lot of people say, well, I just go and I get up in the morning and I pick up a guitar and I write a song. I said, well, how good is it? Because I can do that too, but I don't really like the song very much. It's got to be something that moves me. First of all, well, I've done it both ways now, thanks to Julian, but usually I write the music first and then sing along some words that just come from nowhere, and then, or I have a title, but anyway, so I was working on them for quite a while, and then last year I said to, because Chuck Ainley, co-producer who's here, engineer, he said to Julian, behind my back I might add, he said, Julian, thank God you came on board. I don't think he'd have ever finished this record. It's true. So anyway, Julian came, I don't even know if it was to write or it was just coming to visit, And I said, well, I got this song, I got the last verse I don't really like, or, you know, so he went, there it was, you know. And I said, oh, that's good, I like that. And then when I add the vocal on, and then the following day, I said, well, why don't you ever listen to this one? And then this just snowballed, and then lo and behold, he's coming back for 3 weeks, 4 weeks. One time it was nearly 6 weeks, and we got to the point where I realized his ideas are so tremendous, and I wouldn't have tried them with a regular. I don't like producers because I'm a control freak, you know. So, and I want to do it my way. But with my son, he made such a good point for every idea he came up with. We decided that we would try his idea and we would try my idea. And sometimes they both worked, and sometimes, you know, either or. But he was the huge catalyst for this album being as good as it is. My son, Julian Frampton.
I'm just going to end with this. The last thing you say in this film to your dog is, I'm not going anywhere. And I'm really glad you're not.
Love you, Pete. I try, I'll talk to you.